Hello and welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 21. This one is a movie called Arrowsmith from 1931, and I watched this on April 10th, 2024, and I'm also recording the same day. And this is actually my second time recording because I just discovered that after recording the whole episode, it was going through my computer microphone instead of this microphone. So it sounded like poo. So I'm starting over. And I discovered while editing the last episode for Bad Girl that I've sort of fallen into the habit that Rich and I often had on the old podcast, which was to just explain the whole movie and not really review it. Well, there's a little bit of a review in there, but I basically just told the whole movie, which is why I often struggle with not spoiling things because I end up just telling the whole movie. So I'm going to try to not do that. And honestly, Rich did it more than me on the old podcast because he's a punk and that's just what they do. But I definitely did it as well. And I'm going to try to stop. I'll still read some stuff from Wikipedia, but I just kind of want to give a quicker review of things. So Arrowsmith, I read a little bit from Wikipedia here. Arrowsmith is a 1931 pre-code drama directed by John Ford, Hollywood history there with John Ford, and starring. So this is probably his first nomination since the Oscars began. I don't remember seeing his name before this. It stars Ronald Colman, Helen Hayes, Richard Bennett, and Myrna Loy, who was in it briefly. It was adapted from Sinclair Lewis's 1925 novel Arrowsmith, and it departed substantially from the book regarding Arrowsmith's womanizing and other key plot elements, probably due to the censorship at the time. This film received 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Best Writing Adaptation, Best Cinematography, and Best Art Direction. So a little bit of the plot here. This is Arrowsmith is Martin Arrowsmith. He wants to become a bacteriologist or virologist, and he meets with a famous one, and the guy tells him, go to medical school first, get some training, and then come back and see me, which he does. And when he comes back to meet the guy and become his assistant, he meets a nurse in the hallway who's scrubbing the floor and is kind of pissed off that she has to scrub the floor because she's a nurse. Nurses don't do that. And she gets a little fresh with him, and he says he's going to report her. And then he sees her and thinks she's pretty and asks her to dinner instead of reporting her. And so they go to dinner that night, and he says he wants to marry her. And then the next day he meets with this doctor again, and the doctor's going to be going to New York City to study bacteria and whatever. And he says, well, I can't go with you. I'm getting married. And they get married. So it was all pretty kind of ridiculous. And in the sense that it all happened so quickly. And, while that may have happened now and then back in the day where somebody, and even now, some people get married very, very quickly. But this literally was within no more than 48 hours. They met, dated, married. And then moved to Minneapolis. So it was just funny because, and my assumption on that is that because of the censorship at the time, they couldn't intimate that they were having any premarital relations. So they, change it up a little bit and get them married very quickly. And, again, maybe that happened in real life. Maybe it didn't, but it's the movies. So it happened. And the other thing is, I don't know if some things were cut out of this. So I watched this on Tubi. And the runtime on Wikipedia and on IMDb is 108 minutes, an hour and 48 minutes. On Tubi, it was an hour and 39 minutes. So there's a full 9 minutes there. I don't know if they cut stuff out because of the commercials on Tubi. It was also available on the Roku channel, but I couldn't get the app on the Xbox. So, but that showed the full runtime. So I was going to switch to that once I realized that, but it wouldn't let me download it. So I just stuck with Tubi. So I do not know if there was 9 minutes missing or what. I assume that there was. I don't think that would have changed that particular plot point any, but I'm also fine with it being 9 minutes shorter. So yeah, they get married. They go to Minneapolis, where she's from, to set up a practice for him. And he goes through various like phases in his sort of career over the course of this movie, which all happens very quickly. He sets up practice. Then there's a farmer that he helps with his daughter, and then that same farmer, has issues with his cows. And there's a serum that the vets give to the cows that just ends up killing them instead of helping them. So he gets a sample of the serum and tests it and comes up with his own that actually cures the cows. And the vets are pissed at him because of that. So he decides to pack up his practice and go back to go to New York and be with this Dr. Gottlieb. And then he discovers an antibiotic that he doesn't quite fully understand. The institute that he works at sort of takes advantage of him and publishes that he's found a cure for all disease. And then it turns out that someone in France came up with this just before he did. So it kind of deflates him. But then there's an outbreak of bubonic plague in the West Indies. So he goes there and tries out the serum. And people there are mad at him because as a scientist, as well as a doctor, to truly test the vaccine, he has to give it to some of the population, but not others. And he needs to separate those two populations of people and study both so that he can see, how many of the people got better on their own without any serum and how many got better with the serum. So people are mad about that, but there's a guy that is like, well, my town will happily do that just for the opportunity to have some people cured. So he goes off, and, this says that they downgraded the womanizing. There was a little bit of a hint to that because he meets a woman there in the West Indies that's a New York socialite, played by Myrna Loy, I think. And it sort of felt like they were heading towards an affair type thing. And I was going to be kind of pissed if that was the case. But they didn't. And I won't spoil things, but it ends kind of bleakly. It didn't, like, the very end ended on a high note, kind of, but it's also after some bleak shit just happened. So it's kind of weird. So that's basically that. This a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. The film is only somewhat faithful to the novel, among other significant changes, omitting Arrowsmith's serial womanizing and completely skipping all mention of Arrowsmith's wealthy, self-centered second wife. Myrna Loy has only a few scenes with Coleman, and their relationship is undeveloped to the point of being indecipherable. According to Robert Osborne, host of Turner Classic Movies, Helen Hayes claimed that as filming went on, various scenes were dropped from the script without explanation. It is claimed that Samuel Goldwyn had hired director John Ford on condition that he not drink during the production. So he is a notable alcoholic as well. Yeah, so I liked it. It was good. The acting was very well done. I did like Ronald Coleman again. They all talked with that accent that bothers me sometimes, in that, that quick talking. But it was good. I think I would still put it third in the list of the ones that I've watched so far, which is The Champ at first and then Bad Girl at second. But it's probably pretty close with that. Maybe like tied with Bad Girl for second. So obviously that could change as I watch more of these. I've been trying to watch these in the mornings between getting the kid on the bus and having to work. So there's a lot in this round and the next that are 90 minutes-ish or less, which is great. And so I have about 2 hours before work that I can try to fit some of these in. So I'm just trying to get through them a little quicker so that I can start publishing these things. I'm still trying to get to 50-ish episodes, like a year's worth, basically, before I start publishing the podcasts online. So getting there, but still quite a ways to go. I'm at episode 20, plus I have a preview episode and an episode 0. So technically I'm at 22. So I need 30 more episodes before I can start posting and have a year's worth. So we'll get there. I just got to keep slogging through them. So I'm moving on, and I'll see you next time.